Hello, A Taste of AZ podcast listeners. Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, the Somm Journal. When it comes to wine education, the Somm Journal is the leading print publication in the nation. They provide a behind-the-scenes look at who's who and who's drinking what. It's read by decision makers at restaurants and retail wine shops. So if you want to learn alongside the experts, send your subscription request to subscriptions@sommjournal.com. That's SOMM journal.com. Let's get into the episode. Hello, A Taste of AZ listeners. We are here in downtown Mesa at one of my favorite new-ish spots. Our guest, would you please introduce yourself and where we are?
Yeah, my name is Roberto Centeno. I'm the chef and owner of Espiritu in Mesa downtown.
And what exactly is this spot? Because it's kind of unique.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind the creation of this spot was to basically create a cocktail bar that really highlights agaves and just like in general, like Mexican spirits. It was a big evolution because the initial idea was very simple. And where we are now, it's a complete different monster, you know, like we were supposed to just start with like a simple menu, just a couple bites, and now I feel like we're considered almost more a restaurant than a bar, you know. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that too, I think, is because of the partners that you have in this business as well. Obviously own restaurants and bars, but they're known more so for their food. Would you give us a little bit of their background as well?
Of course. So we have a partnership with Armando, Hernandez, and Nadia Hernandez, which are a couple, and they own Tacos Chiwas, Bacanora, and Espiritu. So these guys, they've been in the industry for like roughly 8 to 9 years. So they've been in the game for a while, being like owners. So yeah, I mean, they focus 100% on their cuisine from Chihuahua, and they've always been like extremely proud to like show it. And that definitely, you can taste that on everything they do and everything they teach. They've been tremendous mentors for myself. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why the menu evolved so much. Armando was always the person to like push me to really like focus on the food, you know, like when we started the whole concept, it was like simple bites, simple things. And then he's like, dude, like we're already here. Let's just kill it. Let's just put all the effort into it. And obviously he was 100% right, you know? And like you said, like we're always well known for food. So it was hard not to like really pursue that. When we designed the kitchen, it's like, okay, we started with some components and then we added a flat top, and then we added a grill, and then an oven, and then we had 10 burners, and then like 4 fryers. And it's like, we have a full kitchen. We can do whatever we want here. And so both of them were always like extremely helpful for like that process. And then my other partner and my brother, Rene Andrade, chef and owner of Bacanora, also huge in the food game. Rene is probably one of the smartest guys that I know as far as like a food and menu like developing. His palate is just amazing, and the way that he puts flavors together, textures, and understands just the concept of food is just amazing. He has way more knowledge than me as far as like years under his belt. I think he's been in this industry for 6 years more than myself, which is huge, you know. But that being said, like for me, being under Rene and Armando and Nadia's sort of like guidance has just been huge, you know, because they opened so many doors for me. So
Are you all from Mexico?
Correct. Yeah. So
from the same region?
Different regions though.
Okay.
Rene and I are from Sonora. Town is called Nogales. It's right on the border.
Yes.
So you have the Mexican side and the American side, which really adds a lot to who we are, because you get to see the American side and the Mexican, so like it changes you as a person and your culture. And then Armando and Nadia are from Chihuahua, so it's brother state on the east side, if I'm not mistaken.
So is Chihuahua also like northern Mexico?
It is considered northern as well.
Okay.
They're also border town. They have part of the border towns, but it's a little bit different.
And so when did you come to America?
So I was born in Arizona, and then in Nogales, and then my family moved back to Mexico because my dad's business was in Mexico. So I basically grew up in Mexico until I was 14, and then things just got rough in Mexico. My dad's businesses wasn't like doing that well, and so he wanted to look for something else to do. So he decided to migrate his business to the States. Unfortunately, it worked out, and so he purchased a house in the States, and we moved back when I was 15. So I was a junior in high school. So I did junior and senior year in the States.
And were you still in kind of like that border region? Because I imagine there's a lot of crossover of culture.
Yeah, a lot of crossover. So my family was essentially all in Mexico still. So like I used to go back and forth. My friendships were all in Mexico for the most part. And obviously you always take advantage of being on the border, like for parties and stuff. Like we always go to...
Wait, you're a partier? No.
Yeah. We always go to the Mexican side, and just everything was easier, cheaper, and like it was just a little bit more convenient.
Are the parties better in Mexico?
Just different, it's like more laid back. Obviously, like we always wanted to have fun, but we always try to be as responsible as possible at the same time. So like we understand the consequences of DUIs and all of those things. So we're like if we can do it over there and it's legal for us, like might as well just do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you're growing up in this region, food is obviously a big part of Mexican culture in general. What is it like, day-to-day life? Are you spending a lot of time in the kitchen? How was it growing up?
So it is, for Latin culture in general, it's just a huge aspect. Like if you see any region in Mexico, like food is just so important. So you're like so used to it that it's part of your day-to-day, for example, my grandma, she had 13 kids.
Wow.
And so like just imagine that, like she was in the kitchen for breakfast for like 3 hours, clean, and then it was already lunchtime, so she did it for another 2 hours, and then she cleaned, and then it's dinner time. So like she was constantly on the kitchen,
just out of necessity.
Yeah. And more than anything, like food in general is just where people connect. It's that break on the middle of the day that like everyone like really like slows down and takes a breather and like communicates to the family the needs and the things that are happening. Culture is very different over there, because for example, here in the States, like you people are just busy, like in Mexico as well, but here it's just different. Like you see people going out to lunch just by themselves, and that does not happen in Mexico. Like you will never see like someone just eating by themselves. Like you always see like big groups, or at least a couple, or like 3 people, like whatever, but like you never see someone like by themselves, especially at lunch. It's just very weird. It's like not part of the culture. It's so important like for us that like you want to like just share moments and thoughts like during that like precious time, And so in general, like food is not just like to like nurture people, but it's also a celebration. And we always say that like when someone has a birthday coming up, like you think about like, oh, what are we gonna cook, and everything kind of like goes around that. It's like,
that's
okay,
the
like
centerpiece of it.
What's gonna be the main dish? And it's like, oh, I'm gonna roast a pig, or I'm gonna do this or that. And it's like, okay, so then we need X amount of beer, we need X amount of like vegetables or whatever. So like it's always like, what are we gonna cook? What are we gonna eat? And it could be for a birthday, for a funeral, for like many things, but we always look at it as a celebration of life.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when you were growing up, did you spend time with Rene?
Yes. So he's 5 years older than me. Okay. So it was kind of like a weird gap because, like, for example, when I was in kindergarten, we were in the same school, but he was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And the way school works in Mexico is like you do 3 years of basically kinder, and then you do 6 years of elementary, 3 years of middle school, and then 3 years of high school. So when I was in kindergarten, he was in 6th grade, and then he went to a different school. And then when I was in 7th grade, he was already a senior in high school. So I saw him 1 year in elementary and 1 year in high school, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
So, but yes, besides that, like, yes, like we always were in the same group or social circles, because Nogales is a very small town. So like you always revolve around the same crowds. Like when I was out and about, like I'll see him like outside and we'll always like chat and talk. But our relationship definitely developed more once I moved back here.
And when did that start taking place, and how?
I moved here in 2013. to go to college, I went to Cordon Bleu in Scottsdale. And the main reason why I was there is because he basically guided me into what to do and how to do it. My sister, she was here at the time as well. And like, she basically talked to Rene. He's like, hey, like, what's the easiest way for him to like go to school, enroll, and like do all of those things? And he's like, well, I can show you how I did it. I can pretty much like get him a job where I'm at. And so I moved here and then enroll in school. We live in the same apartment complex, and he helped me like every day to like just get it done. You know, like he showed me like where the school was, where to go, how to do it. And then he almost like dragged me to my first job. Like I was just here, like just chilling and just going to school. And then like one day, like someone knocked on the door and he's like, get ready, I'm going to take you to work tomorrow. And I was like, all right, cool.
Did you have a goal to get into the food industry, like to be a chef and to take that path?
I never really had the idea of pursuing it that hard.
Okay.
I don't want to say I was lost when I moved here, but I wasn't immature either. Like I knew I wanted to do something good, but at the same time, like I had no clear idea of exactly what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough to have a culinary class when I was in high school, so I sort of like knew I liked this. Yeah. And my dad has always been like extremely supportive of everything that I do, but he was also kind of like worried of like what I was gonna do. So like graduation was getting closer and closer, and he's like, dude, like you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're doing. You need to figure something out. It doesn't matter what it is, but like don't waste time. Like try something. If you don't like it, try something else, but don't waste any time. And I was like, all right, I think I want to try this. I show him like Cordon Bleu. I show him like my sister was already in Phoenix, so that also made it easier. Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go with my sister. We'll live together. I can do this and that. And he's like, okay, cool, go for it. So that was kind of like a last minute decision. And honestly, like it wasn't easy. When I started cooking, I started working at Elements at the Sanctuary Resort.
It's quite a place to start off.
Yeah. So, because Rene was there, and so like that was like the main reason why I started there. They were starting a brand new program. They started the J Bar. They recently remodeled the hotel around that time, and they just remodeled the J Bar. Beautiful restaurant, beautiful concept, and they had like a small kitchen. They were gonna do like bar food, but like on a higher scale. Yeah. But it was simple enough for like someone new like me, you know. So he threw me in there. I did a stage. I did a couple like days of like training. It worked out. I wasn't the best, but I wasn't the worst. Like they needed help, and obviously like he was my cousin, so like they kept me around. And it was hard, man. Like the language was a barrier for a little bit. Day-to-day stuff was fine, but like once you get into the kitchen and once you work like fine dining or just a restaurant like that, people, and it's normal, but like everyone assumed that you already know at least some stuff.
Yeah.
Like simple stuff like give me a ramekin, and I was like, what is that? Or things like that, you know. Yeah. So it's like I had to learn those things on the go, and I never really like. I'm not ashamed to say it because it's a very positive experience when I talk about it now. Like it was such a fun time. Like every day was a learning experience because I used to go to school in the morning and then I used to work at night. And then I had a bicycle. I remember I used to ride my bike. I could walk from my apartment to school, and then I like went back after school to my apartment, refresh a little bit, and like hop on my bike and just go to Camelback. I think it was like a 3-4 mile ride.
Oh, nice.
Each way?
Each way.
Yeah, okay.
So I had to like just pedal hard. And then I was lucky enough that Rene will pick me up some days. Like whenever he had time, like he would pick me up and like we would just ride together. Some days here, some days it just wouldn't work, so I'll just have to ride my bike. Yeah. But all of those things, man, were like super fun. You know, like it made me like very like disciplined, like very aware of my time. It's like, okay, I don't have time to like mess around. I need to like finish school, clean fast, go home, change, hop on my bike, go. And then as soon as you get there, it's like you go again.
Yeah,
you know?
You're not stopping, right?
No, not stopping. And Elements was great for me because I had a lot of exposure like very fast. we had extremely talented like chefs at the time, and like very talented like cooks at the same time. So you will learn like so much from every single person, and that was huge, because going to school and working at the same time, like every day, like I want to say I will learn 5-6 things, and it maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but like then I was there for like 5 years. Like if you really think about it, it's like, okay, so that's like a little over 1,500 days. So I learned a bunch of things, you know, and we met a lot of people, and it really like normalized a lot of like the day to day, you know, because like it was a very popular hotel, lots of high end people, and like you understand the importance of like food, you know, because like you have not so much because of the celebrities and like and relevant people, you know, but like that pressure was always on the line. Like you're cooking for this person, like make sure everything is on point. So like you put that extra attention and the pride into like every single detail, and then it's like every day. So today you're cooking for this person, and today you're cooking for so and so. So you were always like extremely cautious about like everything you do, and like you always put your pride, and that carries on, you know. So I think it was great for me to have that as my first job.
Yeah, well, people expect like you pay a premium for an experience, right?
Yeah,
and consistency, right? Like, because a place like that, I know people that every time they come to Phoenix, they stay at the Camelback Inn, or they stay at Sanctuary. So you got to bring your A game every single time. Yeah,
yeah, and the thing in any restaurant, you know, like there's no, you need to put everything aside, and when it's time to execute, you just do it.
Yeah,
you know, so that was a very valuable lesson for me as well. So yeah, that was a really cool experience. And then after that, I was there for like 5.5, almost 6 years, and then from then we move on to Ghost Ranch. Mm-hmm. So Rene started like lining up this deal with Aaron Chamberlain at the time to like start this concept. It was gonna be like sort of like Mexican, New Mexican. I believe they already had the spot like working at the time, and so like Rene was very excited about it. And he, from the get-go, he told me like, I'm gonna bring you with me. Just be patient. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make it work. And I was like, okay. So we move on to Ghost Ranch on the summer of 2018. So we started this concept together, and it worked out pretty well. Like it was a brand new kitchen, so that was really, really cool feeling. It was a little bit weird to get out of like the setup of a resort. Again, like when you work at that level, there's a lot of things that you never really think about. Like obviously there are important things that you don't have to see, and you truly don't really realize how important they are. Like,
meaning sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you go.
I was gonna say like there's in a place like that, it's such a well-oiled machine that people have their roles, that then you get into a kitchen like that where it's like, oh man, someone took care of this at the other place, or they did. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. So like ordering and food costs and scheduling and just like adding everything together is like, okay, like now I see how when we have 5 sous chefs, it was like easier. It's like a longer shift, but relatively easier, because like the tasks were like so well divided. But like once you move to like a smaller like setup, the game just changes a lot. So like there's a lot more things to like micromanage, and I was 21 at the time. So I was relatively young, and I was already like a sous chef, and with exposure of elements and everything, I think we did a pretty good job. And then December of 2018, things just changed on the whole industry. But at that time, the restaurant group that we were working for, they had 4 restaurants, and then they had to like they had to split December of 2018. So then Rene took over pretty much like the executive role for that side of the valley. So he was basically overseeing 2 concepts, and then I was basically the executive sous chef at Ghost Ranch after that happened. So that was also like pretty quickly. So that again, that made me grow like and mature faster, because now like in 6 months my basically my job list went from like 6 to 7 things to like 15 things. So like more responsibility, more things to do, but I loved it, you know. Like it was it was cool. Like Rene was there, I was there, and then my sister was the GM as well. So it truly felt like a family restaurant. And it's really fun when you say it. Like it's really cool to work with your family, and it was a super positive experience. Everything was fun. And then COVID hit. Yeah. And so obviously everyone is aware of how that impacted everyone. We try to fight it for as long as we could. I think everyone thought that it was just going to be like 2 weeks, you know. And I remember we were having the best week that we ever had, that week that COVID hit. And then I don't know if it was a Thursday or a Friday. We were getting ready for service, and then we got a phone call, and then they're like, hey, we have to shut down. Like the CDC said that like no restaurants are allowed to function. Wow. So just tell everyone to like clean, put everything away, tell them to come back. It was Thursday because the next day it was going to be payday. Tell everyone just to come by and pick up their checks tomorrow. We'll just take a little pause. And we're like, okay, no big deal. It's just going to be 2 weeks. It was a little hard to talk to people at the time, but like no one really knew anything. So it was, okay, like everything is fucked, but we're all in the same boat.
Sure.
So let's write it all together. And then we had a bunch of product, and we were like, okay, so like we need to find a way to like use it. So let's keep rolling service. And then we posted online like, hey, like if anyone wants some vegetables or anyone wants like this or that, like come by and pick it up. Rene, Bernie, my sister, and I are gonna be here like just handing some like care packages with like food or whatever. And then we did it for a couple of days, and then we were pretty much like out of food. And then we were like, okay, we saw that some people were doing like all to goes and all of those things, and we were like, well, we're really not doing much, so let's start just cooking, and we'll sell a little bit of the product that we have so we can get rid of it. And so we kept it going for roughly like 3 months, everything to go. So it was Rene, my sister, my mom was helping us, myself, and my girlfriend at the time, and Adrian as well, our bar manager. So that really like made us like bond like very, very well, because like we worked together, we lived together, we did everything together, which it was also like very tiring, but like really, really, really fun now that I think about it, you know. Sure. But after like 3 months or so, it just didn't make sense. Like we were spending more money than what we were making. So like the owner was like, you know, just like shut it down. Yeah. We'll find something else to do, but like it's not the right time to just like lose money. And so we put a pause to it. At that time, Bacanora was already on the works.
Okay.
The building was already there. I think the lease was getting like finalized. And so it was a weird area where like we have this project, but we cannot really work on it, but it's there. So like we were told like start working on it, and then like we were having some progress, and then we were told like stop. So we were like, okay, so like now we pause it, now we go, now we stop it. And so that was when we shut down Ghost for good. And then the owner of Ghost Ranch had also a construction company, so he's like, hey man, like I have this gig that I need help with, like if you want to learn a little bit of construction and like property management and I don't know, like just work like from 9 to 5 for a little bit, like you can come along. And I was like, hell yeah, like that's something that I always really enjoyed. But I had like no knowledge whatsoever. Yeah. But I always enjoyed construction, and so I wanted to see that world and like just take a little break from cooking. So I thought it was a good idea. The first task that I was handed was to basically project manage Bacanora.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So now it was extremely interesting though, because like Rene was in charge of the culinary side of Bacanora, and then I was in charge of basically making the building happen. Oh, wow. So like now we're like talking to architects and like talking to the city, getting all of these permits, putting these like construction company together to like do the design that we wanted it, and it was gonna be a huge project. It was gonna be like numbers wise at that time was gonna be like a $500,000 project. Huge project.
Yeah. And you're in charge of it.
I was in charge of it, and I was like, okay, we'll make it happen. Obviously with supervision.
Sure. Yeah.
But I was extremely happy, you know, because like I was like, man, like I love cooking. I love this thing. Like I can possibly have a career on it. Like basically design menus, create concepts, and build restaurants, and it's like a full circle thing for me.
Yeah.
And I remember construction got really busy at that time because that's when everyone started buying and flipping, because like prices were extremely low, interests were extremely low, so like the construction company was booming. So then it slowed down for a bit. I had a couple extra guys, and then our boss at the time told me like, hey, like you have some extra people, send them to demo Bacanora so we can start going on it. And things were a little like rough with the ownership and Rene and myself. Just a concept. The situation was just complicated because of COVID, and communication wasn't going that well, and so we had to. Something needed to happen, you know, and so it happened that day. So I remember it was middle of the summer, and then I sent like 7 guys to demo the restaurant. And like it's a small place, so like when you have like 7 people like doing demo all at once, you move fast.
Yeah.
Like that thing will be like demo in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
We started at 7 a.m, and then Rene calls me at like 9, 10 a.m. and he's like, "Dude, like where you at?" And I was like, "I'm at Bacanora. We're just gonna keep it going for the whole day." And he's like, "Dude, like don't demo anything. I just split it from our partner, and I'm actually just gonna open as it is." And I was like, "Dude, everything is gone."
We were efficient, like you guys. Yeah.
So like I remember before the day before we went to Home Depot, like we rented some jackhammers, we rented some power tools. So like we demolished the whole floor, we demolished the bathrooms, we actually cut down the hood. Everything was gone.
Yeah.
Everything was gone, and I was like, "Fuck."
Real quick, let's get a quick message from our sponsor in, and then we'll jump back into the story. Quick shout out to our sponsor, the Somm Journal. When it comes to wine education, the Somm Journal is the leading print publication in the nation. They provide a behind-the-scenes look at who's who and who's drinking what. It's read by decision makers at restaurants and retail wine shops. So if you want to learn alongside the experts, send your subscription request to subscriptions@sommjournal.com. That's SOMM journal.com.
So this it's empty. You rip the whole thing
Yeah.
out. And Rene was like, "I'm gonna have to keep it like."
Yeah.
You're like, no, you're not.
That's got to be in like a restaurant movie somewhere.
Right?
If not,
Yeah.
then you guys need to make one like that because it's too perfect. Almost.
Your ability
perfect
to be
in the
so
worst
efficient.
way.
Yeah. So, yeah, I tell him like, "Dude, like everything is gone," and he's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, I FaceTime him, and he's like, "Everything is gone."
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Fuck." And so he needed to find a solution for that problem, and he's like, I'm just gonna keep going, you know. So I'm gonna do my best. Like I have X amount of money. I'm gonna make it work with what I have, and let's see how far we can get it. And I was like, "Listen, bro, like I'm here to support you and to do everything that I can for you, but I need to keep working though." So I was like, I cannot really like just quit my job and then help you here like every day. Because at the time we just recently purchased a house, and it was my house. So like Rene lived there, my sister, and then my girlfriend moved in with us. She was supposed to go to Minneapolis, and then it got backed up, and then backed up, and then backed up, and then like COVID, they told him like you just work from home. So like she ended up staying there. My mom was there, so like I was basically in charge of like the house for like everyone.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Dude, like I need to work and I need to keep paying the bills." I told him like, "Don't worry about paying rent. Don't worry about anything. Just focus on this. I'll take care of the house and the financials. Don't worry about it. Let's make it happen." Yeah. So I was a little bit distant from him for like 2 or 3 months because like he was focusing on Bacanora, and then I was focusing on the construction just to like have some cash flow and keep it going.
Yeah.
Randomly though, one day Rene was at Bacanora, and then Rene was like, it sounds cliche, but he was like sitting on a pile of like debris. And then Armando Hernandez like stopped by and walked in, and he saw him, and he's like, "Do you need help?" And Rene is like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I can help you open this if you want. Like we can partner up and we can make this work like pretty fast." And Armando asked Rene like, "What do you have on mind for like the menu?" And he's like, "Well, I want to do like this like concept, like Mexican, like design it like this. Like we're gonna have counter service on the front, and then we have the back door so we can do like takeout like through the back. And Armando was like, let's redesign the whole thing because we don't have $500,000 to like build this thing. So he's like, I have a grill that I built not too long ago. We'll bring it. It fits here. And then they literally grab a Sharpie, and there was the wall that it's actually the bar of Bacanora right now. They started writing like the menu on the wall. So they're like, they wrote it down, like, we're gonna do some grilled chickens, we're gonna use these chickens, we're gonna make these sauces, we have 4 items, we'll have 3 drinks, and the whole menu was like on the wall, like written with Sharpie.
Yeah.
And that was like the menu design.
Is there a picture of that? Did they take pictures of it?
Man,
there has to be.
Right? Yeah.
It has to be somewhere. And they were like, okay, cool. And so Armando was well seasoned on how to open up a restaurant and how to like get it functioning. So he brought the help like fast. He brought plumbers. He brought everyone to like do the drywall, painters, all the equipment. So that started moving pretty fast, and they got it done. And then they opened kind of like at the end, like 3/4 of the way of COVID. So they started doing everything to go. Okay. So they rolled through to go until the liquor license and everything was finished, and then they were finally able to open on February of 2000 I think.
Okay.
And
2020?
2020, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was agreeing with you. I'm just enthralled.
No,
in
no,
this.
I was just thinking 2020. And yeah, they made it happen. And then Rene, I remember the restaurant at the beginning, it's always hard. So like low budget, not a lot of sales, you don't have any money in the bank, and so help is just hard, like you're really not able to like pay for like anything, so you have to do everything yourself. So I don't know if you guys remember, but like Rene used to cook by himself for like a good like month and a half.
Just back there all by himself.
All him.
Yeah.
Everything, just him. Obviously, like
how many seats is the restaurant?
Inside is 30 some, and then there's like 10 or so on the outside. Obviously, like Armando was there to help, and Nadia, they were there to help, but they were busy, man. Like they had 4 other restaurants like rolling at the same time. They had like a 2-year-old kid. Like they was just busy, so like Rene had to like really just do it, and he just did it. And then like little by little, he started getting more help, and then I started helping him like 1 day a week, because I was busy as well. So I'll like my day off, I'll just go and help him, and then 2 days, and then 3, and then 4, and then I just quit my other job. I told the guys like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna focus on this thing again. And it was surprising though, because like I was very committed to the construction, but I just felt that this made just more sense for me. So I went and started helping Rene like full time, and then things just started like lining up like pretty fast. Like we were there like just working like 5 days a week, same hours that they have right now, and little by little it's like, hey, like we're gonna get this food critic for this magazine, and then we started noticing like more and more and more relevant people, and we're like, there's something good it's about to happen. Like we knew the food was good, and there was some like pretty good restaurants opening at the time, but like we knew we had a low budget like project, so we didn't really knew how much impact that was gonna like have in town. But then obviously Phoenix Magazine started like writing about us, and then New York Times wrote about us, and then pretty fast the James Beard happened, and things just moved like extremely fast. And then moving forward, like we had this trip to San Francisco, and it was my girl was living there at the time, so I went and visited her, and then Rene and Armando rolled through. We were all kicking it in San Francisco. We went to this bar, which I forgot the name, and it was the coolest bar ever. Like you walk in, it was like pitch black. They had like just like bar food, but it was delicious. They had some really crazy nominations for their drinks, and it was like best drinks on like on this coast or like something like that. And it was crazy because like if you look at the neighborhood, like it wasn't anything crazy, but then you go into this place and it's like you feel like you're like somewhere else. Like I don't know, it was great. And so Armando then said like, dude, like there's this spot in downtown Mesa, like right next to Chiwas, that kind of like looks like this. And and we were like, really? And we always talk about like growing, but when you talk about like future plans, like you don't think about plans in like 2 months.
Sure.
And that's the way Armando is, like that his brain is just wired like different. So when you talk about Armando, you talk about the future, he talks about tomorrow. Like he doesn't talk about like 2 months. So when you tell him like, hey, we should do this, he's doing it tomorrow.
You get a call from him the next day, like, hey man, come see.
Pretty much. Yeah. And so he's like, do you guys want to stop for the phone or?
No, that's fine.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. He's like, hey guys.
Probably Armando, but he's got an idea for you, dude. Right now.
Yeah. He's like, dude, like I saw this place in Mesa. It's gonna be available soon. I'm talking to the landlord, and you guys should come and see it. And we were like, okay, let's go. And we came in here. The whole place was a lot different. It was kind of like recycled through a couple concepts. Like it used to be like a wedding venue, but it was just like where the groom and his boys like kick it before the wedding. So there was like a bar, and like everything was white. The walls were like wrapped with like styrofoam and like leather, and you have like some like chandeliers hanging, but like just like weird.
Yeah.
And then some a different barbecue concept was here before us, and they painted like everything orange and like green, and it was just like, so you have a combination of like a wedding venue with like a barbecue joint, and it was just like the like funkiest looking place. And I'm sure I know opening up a restaurant is hard, so like they did the best they could with what they had, and they made it work. But we saw it, and sometimes it's hard to like really look at a template when it's like that and be like, I can make it work.
Yeah.
But Armando was like, we can definitely make this work. Like I done like way worse with less.
Yeah.
Or way better with less.
Yeah.
And we're like, he was super like secure about it. We had a good feeling because like Bacanora was doing good. So we're like, we have some good following. Like we can make it happen. So we jumped on it on November 29th of 2001. We did our opening on January 19th of 2002. So we turned this restaurant in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
So January 22 is when you guys opened.
January of 22 on the 19th. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, the 11th. The 11th.
So you guys just hit your 1 year.
Yeah, we just hit it. So 6 weeks, we turned the whole thing, and it was fast, man.
That's incredible.
Yeah, because like I was like working full time at Bacanora, and I'll come in here in the mornings, do a little bit of work because we did all the construction and most of it ourselves, the design and stuff. So I will work here in the morning, go to Bacanora, do service, and then sometimes come back after service over there. All my days off, I was here like just like pushing it, and obviously like we made it happen in 6 weeks. So that was extremely crazy. When we opened up here, like I was still like kind of like half and half from Bacanora and Espiritu. Like I said, like when we first started Espiritu, like we were supposed to just be a little cocktail bar, like focusing on the drinks, and then just have a couple bites, like nothing.
Based on that experience in San Francisco.
Yes.
Right. That same kind of idea. Yeah.
Kind of like not replicate, but we took basically inspiration from that, and we just wanted to do it, but like we're our own concepts, you know. Like we thought about a spot where you can have a beer or you can have the best cocktail that you want. You can have like any experience, like anyone is welcome here, you know. Like if you just got out of work and you would just want to roll by, like no matter what you're wearing, like you're more than welcome to do it. If you want to have a birthday or big celebration, like you can dress fancy if you want. Like it's very like eclectic, nothing crazy. So I was half and half at the beginning, and we started getting busy, man. Like obviously busy for the amount of stuff that we have. Like the first night that we were open, it was just Adrian at the bar, And then on the kitchen, it was Armando, myself, and Nadia was helping us doing dishes. And on the front, it was, I think, Cecilia and Armando. So, and we sold $6,000 on the first night that we were open.
Wow.
So just to put it in a perspective, like for $6,000, like you should at least have 2 bartenders and a bar back and preferably a host. And Adrian did it just by himself.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. Like we got a response from Mesa and the community like extremely fast. So we just started getting busier and busier, man. And then we started getting booked with like big parties. And then we quickly realized that me like being like half and half just didn't really make sense, because I wasn't really getting much done there, and then I wasn't getting much done here.
Spend most of your time driving back and forth.
Yeah. And like there was a lot of like gray areas where like no one was here but no one was there. And we started like seeing like not lack of, I don't think lack is the good word, but we just started like seeing that it just wasn't working.
Not as efficient and
not as
good
efficient
as you wanted it to be.
Yeah. So like we decided to like, okay, I'm gonna take over Espiritu 100%. Rene is gonna stay at Bacanora 100%. And then like I was spending a lot of time here, so I was like, you know, like Armando came to me and he's like, dude, like we have a simple menu. It's good, it works, but you're already here. Like, just like kill it. You know, like you have the creative freedom, you have whatever equipment you need, whatever food you need, like line it up, make it happen, like do it yours, like make it yours. So I was like, okay, putting my head down, we started working. Rene and I developed a menu. Nadia put some dishes, and then like we slowly started like developing like the all special menu. So like we had a small menu. I think we had like 8 items to start, and then we were running like 6 to like 10 specials every day.
Wow.
So it was like pretty heavy on the specials, but that really like kept us like entertained, you know, and like fresh. And we started grilling on the patio, and like that really like started like bringing a lot of attention. That started bringing a lot of attention, and like grilling is definitely like one of those things that for me is like extremely important, just because I enjoy it, people enjoy it, and like that's always been my specialty, I believe. I was lucky enough early in the year to also go and compete for Chopped.
Oh, nice. Heck yeah.
So
it was a special grilling episode,
it
right?
was a grilling episode, yeah. So
you're like, it's a wrap. I'm going in. This pretty confident.
So the restaurant was already doing good at that time. So I went and did the Chop competition. It was cool because like obviously like when I was at Elements and working with Bo McMillan, the Food Network was always around. So like Food Network stars were always around. So like we were kind of like familiar with like Guy Fieri, you know, like all of these guys, like they're always there. So the feeling of like looking at these guys and be like, wow, like Food Network stars, whatever. Like, it was like more normal. Like we will see him like every other week. Every time they came to Arizona, like they were there. So it was like, not really like starstruck. Yeah. So I was ready for the challenge. We went and did it. We filmed in Tennessee. Weird spot. I never been there, but it was
the McDonald's. You have to get dropped off.
I think that's
in
New York, right?
Is it? Okay.
Typically they film.
It used to be in New York,
right?
Yeah. It used to be in New York. This was in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We always hear stories, and everybody shares the same story that they have to get dropped off at the McDonald's next to the place.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. I flew into Atlanta because there's no straight flights to Knoxville, and then from Atlanta you take another you go to Knoxville, and so I get picked up, go to the hotel, and then everyone was already there, like they are competitors, but like it was weird at the beginning because like we were all looking at each other. It's like, I know who you are, or I know why you're here. Yeah. I know we're gonna see each other tomorrow, and like everyone just decided to like stay like silent and like go to their rooms.
Oh, really?
Just look at each other.
Fierce
like,
competition.
They're like, I acknowledge you, but like whatever. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. So the first day is like it was very long because like I got there in the morning, and then they tell you like just go to your room. We recommend you to like really take it like just take a chill day and relax. COVID was still going on, so we used to get tested. We get tested like 3 times a day. So we get tested as soon as we got there, and then like every time before leaving the hotel and every time before going to the set, like you get tested. So I got tested as soon as I got there, and like if you were to be sick, like you get sent home like right on the spot.
Yeah.
So I was being careful with that. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna order some. I think I ordered pizza to the room and like just stay there. Next day, they pick you up and then you do like a quick bio intro. It's like the little intro video that they show prior to the show.
Yeah.
You were supposed to film that. So I was ready. Mine was supposed to be at 7 in the morning. So I woke up at 5. I could barely sleep. I wasn't nervous or scared. I was just anxious. I just wanted to get it done. So I woke up and then they called me. He's like, hey, like your pack just got pushed back to like 6 p.m. And I was like, do you have to be kidding me, dude? So now I have 12 hours. We're really not allowed to like leave the hotel. So I was like, what am I going to do now? So like I call like every single person on my phone, FaceTime. I went to the gym for like 3 hours.
I was going to say, do a bunch of push-ups or something.
Like I just try to get some energy out. So like I went to the gym for like literally like 3 hours. I FaceTime these guys. I FaceTime. We have a group chat with everyone. I FaceTime everyone. And I was like, I'm just waiting, dude. And I just like worked out, finished, went to the room, eat again. And okay, we filmed that thing. And then they get you ready. And they're like, next morning, guys, we're going to pick you up at 5. Grab whatever they're having the lobby for breakfast. I grab an oatmeal or whatever. We're going to do another COVID test. So they pick us up, went and did the COVID test, went back to the studio. You start at like 9, and then it takes a long time to like get going. So we get going. The first run happens. I don't know if you guys already watched it, but
I haven't watched it.
No,
I want to watch
haven't,
it though. Yeah, for sure.
Everyone's nervous. Everyone's fucking things up.
Yeah.
But the girl next to me like really had a hard time. Her station caught on fire. Her steak was like raw. She decided to cook this like flatbread with pizza dough with like 6 minutes left. And it's like obviously it was not gonna be cooked. So like the whole like round was like pretty hectic, but I knew like she really like messed that up. So I was like, okay, like everyone could get chopped, but like she really messed that up.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair for anyone else to get chopped. So she gets chopped, and then we're going to like the second round. I did extremely well in the second round. I felt really good. I listened to everything the judges said, and then push into the third round. Desserts are not my strength at all. Just like the measuring aspect is just like not great for me. I like when I'm cooking, like if you like miss a step on like grilling, it's like you can go back and like fix it. With baking, obviously you can't.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I don't really bake or do desserts, because like if you miss one thing, like the whole thing is done. My girlfriend always like push me. She's like, you have 3 months practice desserts, and then you have 2 months practice. You have a week practice, dude.
Yeah.
And she's like, you have 3 days. You need to practice something. And she's like, I'm gonna go grocery shopping. Just tell me what you need. I'll bring it so you can practice. And I was like, just bring some flour, this, and that. And I practiced one dessert, and then it's they're called buñuelos. It's a Sonoran pastry, very traditional. And then I opened the basket, and they give me empanada dough, which is the exact same thing. So I was like, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So like the one dish that I practiced, I opened the basket, and he's like, I think I was actually like laughing, dude. Because I was like, this is fucking crazy.
I have a feeling you got like a spy or someone in there that arranged that basket for you.
I don't know, man, but I saw it and I was like, this is just crazy, though. And so I did my thing, made it work, and we won that. Obviously, like they told you not to call anyone, but I called my parents. I called my girl.
You broke the NDA and all that.
Yeah. They told you not to post, but you can say whatever.
Yeah.
So I called him. We were extremely happy, and it took a long time to air, but then it was nice at the same time because like Espiritu like really developed into what it is now when the show came out. So like we already had a following. We already have some like regular customers. Like they already knew that we grill. They already knew our background. So like then the episode came out, and it was like, wow, like that's pretty cool. It was perfect timing. And then right after that, Eater reached out, and they were like, we want to do a quick article about you guys. Like we just want to highlight like Mexican food on like the East Valley. Like we really like how Phoenix is just not about like Scottsdale and like downtown Phoenix anymore. It's about like there's things happening everywhere. Mesa, Glendale, like all of these parts. There's cool stuff coming. Gilbert. And we're like, okay, whatever. Like we did it. It was a really cool photo shoot. We really like working with those guys. We never really got much information about it. And then the only thing that we knew is that it was gonna come out pretty fast, within like a week or two. And then they sent us an email and they're like, hey guys, like the article is gonna come out tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. Like we were pretty used to like articles coming out all the time with Bacanora and that. Yeah. So we're like, okay, whatever. Like we'll be ready. You always get busy when things come out because obviously there's a lot of people watching. Comes out and he's like 15 best new restaurants in America. And we were like, holy shit.
You thought it was just a little highlight piece.
I thought it was like I thought like they were just gonna pick some restaurants in like Phoenix, some restaurants in San Francisco, whatever, and like throw them in there. But it's like 15 best new restaurants in America, and this
is after Bacanora had just won 50 best new restaurants in America.
They got 50 best new restaurants. They got like James Beard nominated for best new restaurants as well, and then like we get that either like 15 best new restaurants in America, and I was like we were the only one in Arizona, and I was like, fuck, that's just that was like next level, dude. So obviously like that comes out, and for me like Eater is like a really good source. Like every time I travel, like my girl and I like always look at Eater to like see like what's good to eat, and so like we knew that was gonna be huge. And like after that, dude, like our bartender Adrian Galindo, he got best new restaurant of 2020. Best bartender of 2022 by Phoenix Mag. Wow. So it was like, dude, like everything just like lined up. So it's like banger after banger, like everything is about like Espiritu. All these articles, and obviously like we're always extremely happy, extremely humbled by the whole thing, because like we never expected to like grow that fast, you know. So we always kept our head down and just keep working, but like dude, like just the response from people and like the support of people like coming here to Mesa and just see like just having the chance to like look at Mesa and see how fast it's growing, like, and just like be part of it and like make it like a destination has just been amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Well, before we continue, let's get another quick message in and then we'll jump back into it.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to our sponsor, the Psalm Journal. When it comes to wine education, the Psalm Journal is the leading print publication in the nation. They provide a behind-the-scenes look at who's who and who's drinking what. It's read by decision makers at restaurants and retail wine shops. So if you want to learn alongside the experts, send your subscription request to subscriptions@psalmjournal.com. That's SOMM journal.com.
I really love what's going on this main street. I mean, in Mesa in general, right? I mean, I've been a big fan of Cider Core for years, you know, and they were one of the first things that drew me down here. And then as things started opening up, you know, Worth Takeaway and Oro and Chupacabra and you guys and the 12 West Cross. It's
Quechevre as well is one of my favorite spots down here.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet. He was just telling me about it, and then he said they're not open today. So.
Well, and he mentioned when we were doing the podcast, how Armando was helping him when they were just starting to open the spot. And that's one of the things that I love about this area as well, is there's not too many walkable areas of food and beverage. I mean, you got kind of like, you know, 4th Street in Tucson. Of course, downtown Phoenix is probably the most walkable. Flagstaff. Yeah. But over here, it's really kind of a diamond in the rough. And I mean, more so now, people understand. But the amount of spots that you can hit over here is pretty incredible. From, you know, you got...
how small it is.
Yeah, it's well, and... it's very unique, all the things that you can get over here with Quechevre, with Venezuelan food, and then, you know, you'll be out here cooking whole grilled red snapper, and you can walk up the block and get a locally beer.
Yeah. So that for Mesa is just huge, you know, because I never seen anything like that, and it's inspiring for some people, and like the locals love to have a spot like that, and I don't know about any other city, but like, people from Mesa are extremely proud of all the accolades that we had got. Like they truly take it and they own it. Yeah. Like they love everything that is happening. They support it a lot. And what I like a lot about Mesa is like a lot of these businesses that you guys were mentioning are privately owned. Mm-hmm. nothing against like chains or anything. Obviously they provide jobs and it's very important as well, but it is just really cool to see how much support we get here for like family owned businesses. You know, it's really cool to see like that, you know, it really is a community. Like we all help each other. Like for example, like you said, like Mike's Pizza is back here, Cider Corp is back here, Cachevere, like all of these guys. But like sometimes like if I ever need wood, like I go to Mike's and like they'll let us borrow some wood. Like we have some peppers, like when they need them, like they come and borrow it. Like the guys, same with the guys from Cachevere, like they had a fridge and they needed help like just unloading it, and we just all went and helped them out like really quick. Like same with Chiwas, obviously, like they had some like fridges deliver. Everyone came in, like there was like 6 fridges, like we unload them and like help them install them, and everyone just went back to work. And it's just nice like that you can really like rely on everything that's around you to just for help and to have a good time overall. Like sometimes we're grilling out there and like everyone comes by, we're all like having a beer and like just eating, and it's just fun, you know. It makes it like very, very fun.
Well, it's incredible the stories that you hear too. Much like your guys is with getting this spot open. Proof Bread is right next door, right? Directly next door. Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories of all time. Just the adversity of them getting kicked out of their kitchen and then getting this spot, and the stuff that you guys go through. It's well deserved that you would get this recognition and whatnot.
Yeah. And that's another big example, like another like family owned business, you know, like it's a husband and wife, and they run the whole operation. They do phenomenal bread. They stick to what they know what to do, and they just do it extremely well. You know, like we use them, and they have this little market next door. They bring a lot of like fresh produce from all over, and they support a lot of like other locals, and we buy from them. And it's like a small community, you know, like we're just all helping each other. It's just great. And like even here, like when we have meetings and stuff, like we'll like buy a bunch of like food for Mike's and like bring it here, or like Wort or whatever, you know. And like we always all support each other. And like you see these guys coming here for dinner, like they had their holiday parties here. Mike's Pizza, they have their holiday party here. The guys from Cider Corp, and it's just really cool, man.
I dig that.
So let's dig into the menu a little bit. We talked about it somewhat, but you're actually just about to roll out a new menu, right?
Yeah, correct. So the new menu is same format. We like to work with a lot of specials because seasonality is very important for us. It obviously, like if something is not in season or not as good, like we don't compromise it. We rather just switch it and like do something else. Also, like that keeps our mind like sharp and fresh, and like the guys in the kitchen like love that as well, you know, like they love new challenges, like new stuff every day, like getting creative. So we separate the menu in like 2 sections. We have Del Mar, which means from the sea, and then Del Rancho, which is basically from the land or like the ranch. So you have pretty much everything we love from the sea and everything we love from the land. Really simple food, man, but like just good flavors. The menu on the paper, it's designed to share. Everything's like share portions, and like everything that is like daily specials or your heavier entrees. So we have 2 grills. We have a grill outside that we cook with just wood. We do almond and mesquite. We have another grill on the inside which we cook with charcoal. So I just love having those 2 options. So we'll grill like chickens, we'll have like ribeyes, we have tomahawks, we do lamb chops, we do veal chops, like whole snappers. Like there's really like, we don't put a limit. Like we can pretty much cook like whatever we want with this setup. The menu reads very easy. It's very simple, but at the end of the day, it's a collaboration of just our minds, you know. Like we have things that we grew up eating, we have things that we created, we have ingredients from all over the valley, we have like local ingredients from Arizona. We highlight Sonora a lot, which is my home region. The flavors, ingredients. So in Sonora you have the desert, which is the Sonoran desert, but you have ocean, you have a little bit of everything. So like we have extremely good beef, we have extremely good seafood. So like that's why we split the menu that way, and we really highlight those things. So ceviches are very traditional to us, so we incorporate some of them. A lot of my background in cooking is Asian, so you can see a lot of like Asian like inspiration on it as well. I also tried to talk to my cooks and get a little bit of from them, to also inspire for the menu. And like some of them happen to have also a little bit of Asian influence as well. And the cool thing also about like Mesa is like we're down the street from Asian district, so we have extremely phenomenal like Asian markets. We have Asiana, we have Mekong, so I go to their grocery stores all the time and just purchase ingredients from them. Like we will do like a Sonoran dish, like we were doing this like grilled chicken like with like an Asian-ish marinade on like frijoles puercos and then like Chinese broccoli. It's a combination of like a bunch of like regions though, but at the end of the day it's just delicious. Like it's just executed very well. We use our homemade tortillas that Armando has a tortilla factory which he only uses for our restaurants, and they are phenomenal. So like that's another like highlight of what we do. Like he really takes a lot of pride into those little aspects. So it brings a lot to the table.
Absolutely. Well, and with the way that you talk about cooking, and after hearing as well that like baking isn't really your thing because of the measuring and whatnot, seems like you specifically and your team as well really looks at cooking as an art form. And I think seasonality really plays to that a lot because it allows a palate to play off of.
100%. So obviously flavors, you get the product when they're on their prime, and that's extremely important for us. And a lot of times people ask me like, what kind of cooking you do? And in theory though, it's Sonoran. But I always say I cook real food. I cook food that just you want to eat, food that I love to eat. There's like, and it sounds weird, but like there's not a single item on my menu that I wouldn't eat. Like everything that is there, I just love eating, and I could have it pretty much like every day. It's just that I feel like cooking is about that, like having a good community of like teammates, like putting menus together and like just making it work.
Yeah, it's working.
Absolutely. Well, and then let's shift to the cocktails a little bit as well.
Love the menu.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Explain how your menu works, because it's like a journey, right? I think intentionally so. Explain how it works.
So it basically takes you through like a little story. Like this came from the weird mind of Adrian. So he basically creates this, like you say, it's like a little chapter book. He basically gives you like the drinks that are like steered, the drinks that are like shaken. So you get that contrast, like whatever. There's something for like everyone, And then you have basically the breakdown, like how sweet you like your drinks, how sour you like the drinks, if you like them bitter or boozy, and then you get like images with like very like clear descriptions. So, but we also have a lot of like stuff on the back, meaning like bottles. We have over like 300 agave or spirits, like a lot of them. We have extremely talented bartenders, so we're always same format that we do with food, we do at the bar. They'll work with like specials like every day. We'll have like 2 or 3 specials a week. We have a cocktail of the day, cocktail of the week. We also do wine spotlights. So these guys are constantly creating and working. We work with our reps like a lot. Like what's new? What are you bringing? Which new regions they have? Like, and our bartenders are always creating, always prepping. So we have basically like 2 prep shifts a week, which add like 20 or some hours of just like very basically like R&D and prep. So like these guys always have time to like create and just get innovative. And like we tell people all the time, like there's no limit. Like if you need new ingredients, let me know. Like if you need new product, let me know. If you need equipment, let me know. Like we're always all about investing in developing like new menus, new recipes, people. We always want people to feel creative. The number one thing that kills passion is the lack of creativeness. Like you need to stay like fresh. You need to stay like fresh and create. And I think that's the number one thing that, if I allowed to say, that keeps our employees like happy, I think is they're always looking at new stuff. They're always like entertained, and like we give them the opportunity to like really create and have a drink on our menu. And we're not the type of group that takes pride on like every single thing. Like I don't go out and say like I did all this menu by myself and it's my menu and it's mine. Like, no, like if whoever did something that day of, like, we'll give them the credit, and that's very important. Like, especially in this industry now where you have a lot of people just trying to go after like the fame or like the recognition, you know, like we truly don't follow that. We just want to tell our story. We just want to have a good time and make a good living out of it. But we just want to move as a group, like all together. And you know, like right now, like we might be relevant. You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. But if I get the chance to like really push the guys that are gonna be on the spotlight tomorrow, like I just love that. You know, like if I can help them to get there faster, like my job is just getting done. You know. And
you get to consume it, right? You get to drink the drinks and eat the food.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think that's a beautiful thing. Like I hope my mentors are like proud of like what I accomplished and like what our whole group has accomplished, and I hope to see that one day with like all of my guys. Like I think that's the coolest thing to like look forward to for me.
Yeah.
So as far as the bar menu, we'll ask this one question so I can have a recommendation from you. Is there a specific drink in here or something behind the bar that you think really highlights what you guys do? Because when I look at these cocktails, when I see like a menu and I don't know half the stuff in a certain drink, I'm like, okay, this is over my head, but in a good way, right? I'm in the presence of an expert. So what stands out to you on your menu?
So I think I have to say by far the most popular drink that we have is Los Caídos.
Okay.
That's an extremely big collaboration. Ingredient-wise, nothing crazy. It highlights a lot of the things that Adrian really loves. But like, for example, on that drink, like it was a collaboration of Adrian with like some more bartenders, and then like the glass itself is a skull representing like the fallen ones, and like it really attached to the concept that we have here. It's kind of like dark and like spooky, kind of like just like revolution is like war fighting. It's an interesting like wrap. And then that glass was made by Augusta. You guys can see him on Instagram as Augusta Pots. He's a local guy. He's got his own shop and he creates like pottery, plates, glassware, everything. So that's my personal favorite because it tells a story. Besides being delicious and the #1 seller, it tells a really cool story.
Well, I love that you say there's nothing too crazy in there because the first ingredient is coconut oil fat washed mezcal, and then it's got rum, and then
Oaxacan rum too.
Yeah,
like not like Oaxacan
exactly.
Rum.
Yeah, and then there's probably 8 more ingredients at least that go in there, which is pretty incredible. Because when I think like, what cocktail can I make? It's just like ranch water, right? Just like sparkling water, tequila, and some lime, but I've had this cocktail actually, so we should mention Marcy Symington, our writer, wrote an incredible article on you guys, and I believe the photo is on the following page that we have it open to here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that drink was fantastic. We had 1 or 2 more, and everything, it was like a flavored journey. And you say that they're telling a story. Not only is it doing that in terms of, you know, the glassware that you're using and the items that you're selecting, but also it's like a flavor journey. It's something that I could never create at home. And even simple food items like your ceviche, which you can see here. It's not super zoomed in, obviously, on the camera, but it's one of the most beautiful dishes I think I've ever seen before. And I'm no ceviche aficionado in terms of having had, you know, hundreds of ceviches and whatnot, but it was so delicious. I remember just scarfing it down. Your queso fundido as well. What, maybe one more cocktail and then one other food item that really stands out to you?
Well, this is a very interesting one, but the aguachile, it's on the on the middle page. So that drink is also very interesting because the base of that drink is actually the same sauce that we use for the aguachile. So it's a tomatillo sauce with cilantro and lime. So it's an interesting way to like play it, you know, like it's diverse. Like you use that sauce for a drink, you use the sauce for a ceviche. So I think it's almost like funny to have it like in 2 different ways. So
absolutely.
Like, talk about like getting creative, you know, it's just different. As far as like food, there's this dish that on the new menu that I actually like really enjoy, the roasted mushroom quesadilla. Very simple concept, but it just highlights a lot of my favorite things. You know, like we have for that dish, we get tortillas from my region in Sonora, and we get them delivered like every other day. So they make them fresh in Mexico, and then we get them brought here.
Despite having a tortilla factory in your guys' Rolodex.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because for that specific dish, it just needs to be a little bit different.
Sure.
This tortilla is like the type of tortilla that you will find like a taco shop, like a Sonoran taqueria. Like when you put it on the charcoal, like it gets like very crispy. It's just a little bit thinner. It's just different. It's a little bit different. Queso menonita, which is like one of my by far my favorite cheeses. Roasted mushrooms, a little bit fancier. We use beach mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, and like garlic, rosemary, fresh oregano, lime, and we roast them. And then we have frijoles puercos, which is debatable people's like favorite beans. So we already have like very like good beans, which we call Bacanora beans. It's the original recipe from Bacanora. People just love those beans. We all love those beans. And then we take those beans that are already like seasoned, and then we cook them with like chorizo, like roasted green chilies, a little bit more garlic, lard, and it just makes for an incredible dish. So like you have the beans in the center, tortillas or the quesadillas, and then it's almost like you dip it, and it's just delicious. But
what is the queso menonita?
So Menonita is basically it's a tribe. It's a specific tribe that it's actually in Chihuahua. It's Mennonites. So the Mennonites make the Menonita cheese. So that's basically on their region they create this cheese, and that's what they do. So they've been perfectioning this for like, I don't know, like 150 years or something like that. It's just crazy. And it's like funky yet like very creamy. It's just delicious though. For quesadillas.
I need to find some.
Oh, you'll have to come back, but it's just delicious though. But a lot of the dishes that you see are like share or like share friendly. That's the way I like to design my menus. I typically every time I go out, like everything is about sharing because it creates conversation. It opens up for a better time, I believe, you know, like interaction, like what you think about that, how did that taste it to you, what you think about this, and that's what like dining should be about, you know, like just interacting with the people that you are, and that's why like we kind of like force people to like share and to like talk and to have a good time and all of that, you know. Even with the drinks, we have some like big drinks. We have the
is that under the shots and other mistakes category?
Well, that one too. Though.
I love that. I love that title.
you can have like those. You can have those and like choose your own adventure. But we have the punch bowls, which is basically a drink that you can share with like 4 or 5 people. You know, so like that's also like really fun. You know, like just to have a big ass bowl in the center of the table and like everyone, you get a little ladle and like you just like scoop it out and just share with your people as well. So. We're all about like family and sharing and experience.
40 ounces in a paper bag. That's just the
and
it says literally just a 40 in a paper bag. I love that.
Well, the menu itself is just so fun with the way it's set up.
Yeah, I love it, man. This is it all. This is good.
The 40 ounce on the paper bag is it's almost like a joke, but it has a lot of meaning to us because when we designed this menu, short story. I'll be quick with it. Armando's dad came to the States many years ago, and he used to be a dishwasher. And Armando always talked about like one of his biggest motivations was to be successful and just do good in life because a lot of the places that his dad used to work at, like they were not allowed to afford him. And so that's one of the reasons why he worked so hard. And when we started this concept, is like, dude, I want a place where someone that was in my dad's position can feel comfortable and someone that is extremely wealthy can feel comfortable. Yeah. So like we sell drinks with like 3 or 4 different alcohols that are weird or funky and delicious, but we also sell you a 40-ounce Bud Light on a paper bag because like we just want everyone to be here and enjoy it.
I like that.
Well, I think that's a really wonderful way of kind of bringing it full circle because when we started this conversation, it was you discussing your upbringing and how, you know, you were saying in Mexico, nobody really eats lunch alone and things like that. And I think America is known as a blending of cultures, but I think Mexico is kind of slept on as that as well, because there's I now know Mennonite influence down there. There's German influence down there, and of course there's American influence that's made its way in too. And I think when you hear a restaurant winning 15 best new restaurants in the world, and of course being attached to Bacanora that is incredibly difficult to get into, people could think that there's a level of pretentiousness, but it's the exact opposite, really, and you just laid that out very eloquently. So, is there anything else? Maybe you want to just break down your schedule a little bit, because I know certain days you do the cooking outside, I believe, and certain days no.
Yeah, so right now, like we're bringing more people to our team, and that's actually going to make everything work a little bit more efficient for us, We're very happy with the team that we have. So like now, like we just brought a couple more guys into the table. So that's going to give us the freedom to like cook more on the grill. So like we're going to turn it up a notch and like just be out there a little bit more. Like the weather is going to be nicer now. Obviously when it rains, it's hard.
Sure.
Like we just don't go out there. Yeah. So we basically try to always grill at least Fridays, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. So people can always expect that. We're gonna start working on our patio a little bit more. It's friendly right now. We have like 16 seats outside, but like we're gonna have some landscape happening there soon. It's just gonna make it more comfortable. We're really getting ready for spring training, Super Bowl, and all of those things. The only other thing that I wanted to highlight is Armando is opening up another restaurant down the street. It's called Cocina Chiwas. It's on Apache and McClintock. So he's basically going to be doing like fine dining Chihuahua cuisine. So really cool stuff, man.
Is there a rough timeline on that? I know how restaurant timelines can be.
We're shooting for like the first week of February. Second
really?
week.
Okay.
So
you did say he's like that.
6-week turnaround time on this one. So yeah.
So it's been developing for a little bit, and it's finally getting there. The kitchen is like fully ready. It's a beautiful concept. The menu, it's obviously Nadia and Armando on a plate. Rene is collaborating with them a little bit, and it's gonna be beautiful, man. It's a beautiful build out. It's gonna be another staple. Like I'm very excited to like see it.
And you said what was the name again?
Cocina Chiwas.
Okay. Well, it's been such a pleasure hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Hearing your story, hearing what has inspired this menu and how you guys have all made it happen. So thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. It was a pleasure.
I can't wait to be back, because I guess that's the only downside of this episode is that your kitchen isn't fired up today. So
I've got that quesadilla on my mind. Man,
yeah, absolutely.
Mushrooms, yeah.
Well, Taste of AZ listeners, please come down here, because not only have lots of other people confirmed that it's a fantastic spot, but we've been here before and can confirm that as well. Check out more in the article in A Taste of AZ magazine. And thank you so much for sitting down with us, man.
Thank you,
Can't
guys.
wait to
it was
be back.
a pleasure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Quick shout out to our sponsor, the Somm Journal. When it comes to wine education, the Somm Journal is the leading print publication in the nation. They provide a behind-the-scenes look at who's who and who's drinking what. It's read by decision makers at restaurants and retail wine shops. So if you want to learn alongside the experts, send your subscription request to subscriptions@sommjournal.com. That's SOMM journal.com.